Hello everyone, I hope you're all having a great day today. Now as you might know, Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is coming out very soon, so in preparation for that, I wanted to review the first two movies. And so we're going to start with the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which came out in 2020. So in general, when it comes to this film, the vibe is just very good. This is like one of the peak examples of a film that's family friendly, but still is legitimately a very good blend of action and comedy. I must also say the production design here is really good. I actually really like the world that Sonic came from, the place inspired by the Green Hill Zone in the video games. Not to mention the design of Sonic himself is actually very good, and if you don't know, it's much better than the original design they were going to go with, where they tried to give Sonic these weird teeth, and instead of his glove, he had these furry hands with fingernails. His shoes weren't as cartoonish, his legs had muscles, his eyes were all weird, and they quickly learned from that mistake and redesigned Sonic to look more like the video games while still changing a few details, and I think his design here is perfect for a movie. Many people actually believe the whole ugly Sonic design was intentional just to draw more attention to the film, but still nonetheless, as I was saying, visually this film is really well made, especially Dr. Robotnik and his costume design and all of his machinery. Not to mention the performances in here are really great, like of course you have James Marsden playing the cop guy. Ben Schwartz did a good job as the voice of Sonic, especially considering he hadn't voiced the character in any other previous forms of media. And the standout here, of course, is Jim Carrey. He's just a phenomenal actor, and who would have known that he would have got cast for Dr. Robotnik, but that just worked out very well. To be completely honest, Dr. Robotnik as a character in here is actually just very interesting. He's kind of a complex character, but also very funny because it's Jim Carrey.
Nobody cares!
When the trailers for this stuff was first coming out, to be completely honest, I was actually more surprised by Dr. Robotnik's appearance than the ugly Sonic design itself.
What?
Because if you look at Dr. Robotnik in the games, it's very different from how he looks when he first shows up in the movie, but this was actually all intentional because this version of the character slowly transforms into more of a game accurate version, and then obviously in the later movies they keep improving upon that to make it more game accurate, so it's really just pretty neat what they did there, and there is kind of a sense of tension throughout this movie as Sonic is being hunted down, but as I was saying, it's a very funny movie. And the human characters that were created specifically for this movie were actually pretty good. There were some great side characters like Wade Whipple, and Dr. Robotnik's one assistant guy, and of course Maddie and her family. There's just a lot of fun sequences in this movie. Once you get to the final battle, it's actually pretty good. I think it was filmed very well. There's just a lot of creative stuff that they did here. And I especially like the part where Sonic repeatedly bumps into Dr. Robotnik's space shuttle thing, because it's just like how in the game you have to do that over and over to ultimately defeat him. And then after the credits, there were some great scenes setting things up in the future, like the one with Dr. Robotnik and then the one with Tails, although they actually ended up changing Tails' design a little. So at the end of the day, I thought this was a pretty well-made movie. However, it wasn't quite perfect. Some of the humor in here is a little bit generic, although for the most part that's really not the case. But I think really the biggest issue some people have with this movie is kind of the route they decided to take, where it doesn't really just jump into this Sonic universe with all these different characters from the Sonic franchise. And I understand that would have been a little bit harder for the general audience to follow, especially if they weren't familiar with the games, and so they kind of just wanted to build this universe out slowly by first just introducing Sonic and Dr. Robotnik, but putting them in the real world with these human characters, and so I kind of understand that approach, but at the same time the fact that a lot of this movie is just this kind of road trip, when Sonic literally has super speed and can get pretty much anywhere instantly, and it feels like the excuse is that he just doesn't know how to get to San Francisco where he needs to go, and instead of getting a quick explanation on how to get there or just like finding out himself, he ends up just going along on the road trip, so that definitely is a little bit of a stretch. But nonetheless, this is a very entertaining movie. Overall, on the quality scale of 0 to 100, I'll give it an 83%, and I would definitely recommend you check this out, especially if you're a fan of Sonic, but even if not, it's still a great family film. If you've seen it, let me know what you think about it in the comment section down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.